I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And we will start with approval of minutes for Monday, September 12th, the public session.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 12th public session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, any discussion? Sure. All in favor, aye, okay. And do I hear a motion for September 12th non-public minutes?
Make a motion to accept September 12th non-public minutes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed?
I abstained from both of them since I wasn't there.
All right. Monday, September 26th, the workshop minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the workshop minutes as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Move it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The next item on our agenda is a recognition of visitors and public comment. We have a lot of visitors. Any public comment from our visitors?
I think there might be a few. Yes. Right here.
Okay, if you can state your name and town.
Angela Smith, Waffle.
Okay.
I'm sorry, blocking.
Angela Smith. Walter.
So, good evening. I'm here tonight in hopes that my concerns will be heard and influences changes in our school district regarding the events that occurred at the Bernard Cup game on Monday, October 3rd. As myself and the families of the varsity soccer players processed the events that quickly occurred within the last 3 minutes of the game and the day following, the topics that kept coming up are communication, policy, and responsibility. Communication impacts our behaviors, good or bad. And when there's no communication, behavior arises, which is what happened at the end of the soccer game that ultimately led to a 3-game suspension for our varsity coach, Justin Parrott. The events that occurred at the game and then the suspension with no answers or justification as to why that level of suspension was given led to frustrated players and parents. As myself and other parents wrote to our superintendent and principal trying to get answers, we found ourselves all receiving the same response that did not give a justification. Because see, the NHIAA policy that was also referenced in the response didn't align with this level of suspension, nor were we given a Paul Mountain policy that would provide a reason. Once again, our administrative staff was not able to effectively communicate the reasons as to this level of suspension of our coach. But what also didn't occur following the decision was a letter and our meeting to the parents of the varsity team soccer players. Again, lack of communication by our administrative staff occurred along with no policy that supported that level of consequences that was provided. But the varsity players decided to have another meeting with the principal and to further discuss those events. Following the meeting, our boys were given an ultimatum. Write an apology letter to the NHIAA and referees, and one to the public to be posted on Facebook, apologizing for their unsportsmanship-like conduct that occurred, and in exchange, our coach will be back after serving 1-game suspension. The boys did this because they care more about their coach and playing soccer. They took the responsibility. However, our principal has yet to take the same responsibility because at the end of that game, our principal's emotions were so high, which led to him communicating by yelling and pointing his finger in our coach's face in front of the Teachers Association, the athletic director, fans, and parents from Stevens and Palm Mountain. As I've said previously, our coach and boys were given a consequence due to unsportsmanship-like behavior. Our principal also displayed unprofessionalism that night by allowing his emotions to control his way of communicating. So I hope that our school board and administrative staff will hold our principal responsible at the same level our boys and coach were held. Good job. Again, I'm not looking for answers tonight, but I'm hopeful that what I have said is reflected on the changes at the administrative level and are made in regards to providing effective communication and a consistent policy to be followed, such as the NHIAA, when making decisions to suspend a coach. I also look forward to hearing that our principal was held to the same level of responsibility our boys soccer players and coach were. And I look forward to your post with the subcommittee for the search of the high school principal. Thank you for your time tonight, Angela.
Thank you, Angela. I just wanted to point out that it's important to understand that in public comment, number one, specific people cannot be referred to. Public comment, if you have in public comment, if you have a complaint about a specific person, you need to bring that to the superintendent in a non-public situation. To the board in a non-public situation. Not in a public situation. So that's an important thing. So we'll continue to hear any other public comments, but it can't be specific to a specific person.
When are the non-public meetings held, or how do you get on the agenda?
You would contact Misty, and she would put you onto the agenda for the next meeting.
Just looking to break down our contact information. Okay, phone number or email, or what do you want?
It's MBUSHEE@SAU60.org.
So if they're specific, should we wait to read them and perhaps email you them?
That's what I would do. I'd
Yeah.
email them to Ms. Petrie so that she can forward them to the board.
Any other comments that aren't specific to a specific individual? Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on then to reports of administrators. And we're gonna take it a little bit out of order because we have students going to be doing presentations for us tonight. Okay, all right. So building administrators reports. And we're going to do.
Yeah, you're first.
You're
Middle
first.
school. So I will just give a brief kind of overview, general overview of middle school, and then I'm going to ask Chris, Nevaeh, and Thomas to come forward and share a little bit about a recent trip that they went on. We are finally fully staffed at the middle school. Our last open position for our paraeducator started last Monday, Mr. Charette, and he's fully integrated into 6th grade now. So other than our open 6th grade position, which we ended up combining 3 sections of 6th grade into 2, we are finally fully staffed here at the middle school. We still need 2 one-on-one paras at North, so we still have 2 openings. If you know of anybody who's interested, we are still looking to fill those positions. Our staff food clinic is this Wednesday. We will be collective as a Charlestown attendance area and having our staff have the opportunity to get their flu vaccination right at Charlestown Primary School. Our student flu clinic here at Charlestown Middle School was last week, and I think we had more than double the number of students participate than they anticipated originally. I think we had nearly, I want to say it was 47 students registered for the clinic last week. Our soccer and volleyball teams both have a couple weeks left of play, and they have games Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. Both both sports, all 3 teams. And our middle school football team plays Bellows Falls tomorrow. So our middle school teams have continued to be very active and busy this year. Soccer had a tournament this past weekend, and I believe they have a tournament this coming weekend as well. 1 or 2 of our teams do. And then our PTA, our Charlestown Attendance Area PTA met last week. They have lots of fundraising ideas. It's a relatively young PTA, many new faces to that organization. And following a bit of a hiatus due to COVID, they're very eager to get back and providing opportunities for the community to get together in different ways and do some fundraising, so they have the funds to support those community events and the school itself. So our 8th graders went on a field trip last, actually not last week, but the week before, to Salem, Massachusetts. They've been studying different components of that historical period in their classes. And I have 3 of our 8th graders here with us this evening, Chris, Nevaeh, and Thomas. If the 3 of you want to come forward, please. I'm not sure that any of them have ever presented in this type of a format or to this many adults. So,
Well, this will be good for them.
yes. And I may end up with some payback tomorrow, but that's all right. So they went to visit a variety of historical locations in Salem. And they're just going to each give a recap of one specific location and talk a little bit about what it was and what they saw there. So I believe we're starting with Chris.
So one of the places that we went was the Salem Witch Museum. The Salem Witch Museum had life-size stage sets and exhibits and tours exploring the 1692 Salem witch trial plus witchcraft today. There were wax figures, including one of the devil. They looked like they were staring at us. Several of our classmates were scared in this museum because they didn't look scary.
Okay, Nevaeh, where did you also go?
Another place we visited is the Sutter Street Cemetery. It is also known as a resting place for members of the court of lawyer and prisoner, Dr. Bartholomew. Jenny and Magistrate John Parker, great-great-grandfather of Gardner Nathaniel Hudson, also buried in the cemetery of Mary Corey, the first wife of Giles Corey. Giles, the wife of the Corey, was hanged during the trials, and they also saw a lot of graves.
Another place we went was the Rebecca Nurse House. The only home of 1692 witchcraft hysteria victim opened to the whole public. It was from this homestead that 71-year-old Rebecca Nurse was arrested on charges of witchcraft in March of 1692. She was executed in Salem in July of 1692. Today, you can explore 27 acres of farmland, which includes the historically restored 1678 Nurse family home, a replica of the Salem Village Meeting House where witchcraft examinations were held, and the Nurse/Putnam burial ground. The family burial ground includes a monument to Rebecca Nurse in the grave of George Jacobs, who interred here in 1992, and to this day remains the only witchcraft hysteria victim whose burial location is known.
So in addition to the Rebecca Nurse Homestead, the Salem Witch Museum, and the Charter Street Cemetery, they also went to the Salem Witch Trials Memorial, the House of the Seven Gables, and the Maritime Museum. And then as part of their social studies exploration, they're going to, I believe it's called the Rockingham Meeting House next week. And another local walking field trip to another local cemetery in this area. They're exploring these themes in their social studies classes. So thank you to the 3 of you for presenting. I think they were hoping to escape before questions, but they were very nervous about it.
It is a skill they have.
Yes, they are good at escaping things like that. So beyond that, that concludes my brief report this evening.
Thank you.
Following up on Charlestown.
Oh, we
Oh,
were actually gonna go out of order so that the high
Sure.
school students could present too. Sorry. You have students and you get to go.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank our principal, Tom Rotting, and the school board for allowing the Career and Technology Education Center to share information about a couple of our programs tonight. I'm Deb Connell. I'm the coordinator of the CTE Center, and we've been growing. And I just want to be able to share information about one of our older programs and one of our new programs. And I feel privileged to be here tonight with 3 student representatives who are all leaders at our school. And I'd like to start off as I have Cadet Command Sergeant Major Andrew Burns, if you would come forward, please. And Cadet Second Lieutenant Abigail Stavro, who will talk a little bit about the JROTC program, what it has meant to them. We want to kind of share their CTE journey with you. Then we'll have the Mayor Brother Stephen speak.
Good evening, everybody. So our ROTC program is very centered around our motto, which is to motivate young people to be better citizens. And we mainly do this by focusing on improving our students' socialization and leadership skills. And we do this by really centering their skills across their freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. And we have specific programs lined up for them, such as for our freshman people. They are, at least in our textbook that we take things from to help build them. For the freshmen, they are our emerging leaders. So what that basically means for us is they're coming into our program. They may have a slight idea of what we are, but not really a full idea. And through that, we're helping to kind of build them up to start being able to influence some of our other two people and also among themselves. And then once we get to their sophomore year, which is then their developing leader, they've already had that base ground of their freshman year. So then they have that developing leader of, again, they're building up themselves. And now since they're in that sophomore year, they're really able to start helping those newer freshmen and help those freshmen again build themselves up as well as building themselves. Then once they get into the junior year, which is our, it's been a while since I looked at the books. Our junior year, it's our no, I'm a junior. Sorry.
Now,
Go to the
study
CTE.
class.
Oh yeah, so what we're really doing right now is, again, we're our supervising leaders, so we're making sure that all of our freshmen and sophomores are teaching each other what they're really supposed to be and making sure it's in line with what we're trying to build up and do. And then finally, when we get to the senior year, that's our real top level managing leader. And for there, that's what everything else has prepared them from for their freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And for that managing leader year, it's really, you're taking everybody else and you're really becoming essentially a second teacher in the class. So you're very much knowing everything that's going on and you're really wanting to make sure that the success of the program is really going on. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say for our, at least leadership values for it.
Abigail.
So Burns talked a lot about all the specifics of the program, but I want to talk about some of my experiences that I've had and how the program has helped me. My freshman year, I joined the program because my mother was in the program while she was in high school, and she said she loved it and she wanted me to give it a try. And so I did. And at the very beginning, obviously I was very nervous because there were a lot of older cadets who knew what they were doing and I was clueless. but they actually really helped me, and I worked very hard in the program, and I got recognized for it. So I was climbing up the ranks very quickly, and it was very fun. It quickly became my favorite class of the day, and I looked forward to it. And then freshman year, there were a lot of fun things that happened. We got to fly in a Black Hawk helicopter, which was extremely fun and probably once in a lifetime experience. And only the JROTC kids got to ride in it. And JROTC, it stands for Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, but it's not just about the military. They want to help us in our high school careers and going forward, like into colleges and basically anything we want to do, they want to help us. It's not just about the Army. And other fun experiences I've had is we have a thing during the summer, it's called JCLC, which is JROTC Cadet Leadership Challenge, where we go to an Army base and we train certain things like land navigation. And we also have fun experiences there, like we went to a high ropes course and we went mini golfing, and it was super fun and a memory that I will probably have forever. I've made lots of friends in the program. It has genuinely made me a better person, and I'm happy in the program. And I'm very excited that my mother introduced me to it, and I will never leave. Thank you.
Any particular questions? I want to thank you both for giving your time for coming tonight. You have a seat if you'd like. You have a seat if you'd like.
No questions. No questions.
Yeah, what do you think has been your most memorable experience?
Oh, that's a big one.
I mean, the helicopter is probably a pretty
Yeah, it's
memorable
up
one.
there.
Yeah,
That was super fun. And
Yeah.
I think just in general, making friends, like I've made my best friends in that class and I love it.
yeah. How about you? What do you think has been your most memorable experience?
Personally, for me, it would probably just be able to being taught from the higher ups, and really, it's not really one specific thing. It's just the whole entire journey and really getting recognized for taking after one another.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you can see he has been recognized with all his, those are all earned. All his medals and his bars are earned, same as with Abigail.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to share that with the JROTC program. It's a program that other schools in the region can send students to. We have 7 students from out of district right now. We have a student who's coming over from Vermont, one from Claremont, and the other students are coming up from Keene. So it's growing. There's a lot of interest. Major Maynard and I do go out to the regional high schools to talk a little bit about our programs we set up in the cafeteria with our banners. And we get a lot of interest. So then I'd like to introduce Sophia Barbara Stevens, if I may. And Sophia has been, she's involved in a lot in our school, in different leadership capacities. And I was absolutely delighted when Sophia enrolled in our brand new program called Pep. Well, it's changing for next year, so we work all well together. Business of Healthcare, and it is changing next year, which I will talk a little bit about afterwards, but she's going to talk about her journey. And here we go.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Burr Stevens. So I've been interested in healthcare since like forever. Like when I was 5, I wanted to be an eye doctor. Well, that has changed to healthcare administration. You know, so does everything like that. For me, CTE has been so important and beneficial. I am so thankful to the school who does provide programs like this, who does help with everything for anybody. She'll sit with you for hours. She actually got me my job at Cheshire Medical Center. She set up my meeting with a career person. So yeah, that was really helpful. And then this class that I'm taking, business and healthcare, I will get a certificate at the end of it, which will help in my job search. Will put me on top for like college applications and acceptance. But the class overall is so interesting. Like I love it. It's 4 college classes. But the teacher, Lynn Carpenter, she is so good. She just is seriously like amazing. I will graduate with 30 college credits that I will be able to transfer to any college pretty much that will accept them. I'm just so beyond grateful for everything that I've been able to do in my high school career. And I hope that, you know, you guys push for people to keep doing this kind of stuff, because it really is incredible.
Thank you. Any questions for Sophia?
So your college, you're getting college credit for this.
Yes.
So you'll,
River Valley, correct?
so at River Valley.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so
And-
I'm getting college credit for the ones that I take in school, and then I'm also taking two outside of school as
Uh-huh.
well in the nighttime.
Great, great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. So the ones that you're taking at night, are you paying for those?
They're at a reduced rate,
Uh-huh.
and then one of them is paid for through the governor,
Uh-huh.
so.
That's
it's not-
great. That's great. So you'll start off ahead.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
a whole year.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sophia. She's, I have to mention, the course actually is taught remotely. It's a one period a day, Dr. Lynn Carpenter, we're very fortunate to have her. She actually has a PhD in healthcare management and is very interested in working with the youth, and she serves on the Governor's Commission for the Aging. And she brings a lot to the program, and it's this year, enrollment isn't what we'd like it to be, but this is a very innovative new program. There's nothing like it in the state. So it was a long process and a journey to get approval here, get approval there. And we finally got it all together. So we do have students enrolled in it this year. But then what we're going to be doing next year, and this is driven by River Valley Community College. We work with Jerry Appel there. He is the early learning college advisor. And we're going to be expanding the program. So the students will be working towards the healthcare application certificate. It's actually a 32 credit college certificate, but if students really plan for their 4 years and start in 10th grade, taking the college courses, the Running Start courses we offer at our school, they will be able to graduate with that certificate. The certificate prepares students for occupations such as a home health aide, dietetic aide, wellness coach, rehabilitation aide, or clinical secretary, just a few of those. If someone was interested in phlebotomy, we could get them certified and phlebotomy. There's a lot of individualization. We develop internships with the students. Well, this is what Sophia did. I have to say, can I say what you're making an hour or not? All right, so she's making $20 an hour.
Oh, that's great.
That's wonderful. And she's working in, she's, what do you call that? You do this.
I'm a screener, so I screen people for COVID symptoms and, tell them where they need to go. And I usually work in the ER, which is pretty hectic sometimes, so I have some pretty crazy stories. I love it, I really do.
Yeah, so she will be, has some opportunity for upward mobility, and she's at the Cheshire Medical Center. So very, just very proud of her. You do have in your packets the Health Care Careers CD program. I don't know if you have any particular questions with that. The actual course runs for the year. It can be taught semester. If the student can't take it for the full year, particularly a junior, they could take it for a semester, then drop in the next year for the other semester. But that course, the capstone course, is worth 15 college credits. And it's very legitimate. The courses, River Valley courses run 45 hours, and our semesters far exceed that. And we've had that conversation with River Valley and with our counselors. So we're feeling pretty good about that.
I read through the packet and I really like the idea that when they're on the remote learning with Dr. Phillips, that there's somebody there that you can ask questions of and things like that. I think that was an excellent thing to add.
And that's a new position we have this year, grant funded. Dr. Carpenter for healthcare is.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
Yeah,
Carpenter.
is funded
Right.
through Perkins. And our career advisor is funded through the ESSA grant. So we're making very good use of the resources that the district has. And I help, our career advisor is Holly Gowdy, and she's been at the district for a while. So it's been a very easy transition. Yes, she is in that class. She makes sure the technology is set up. The technology we have is very state of the art. And it's one of the new 360 Microsoft, they can look into the classroom and then it's really awesome. It's worked well. Good. Any other questions on it? Thank you. So I just do look forward to getting everything out a lot earlier this year, and any students going on to particularly River Valley, they would do well to take this course because it actually relates to social sciences. It's not just, health the healthcare aspect. So I'm gonna switch gears. I did talk about the new career advisor's position this year. And we are going to be offering, with your approval, Ronnie and I have had this conversation, he's bringing it forward this evening, but the a career exploration course. Now, the focus of this course, it will be a semester long, and it's a pilot, and if it works well, we hope that offer additional sections next year. But it's really to help kids begin to think about who they are, where they're going, and how they're going to get there. And that's kind of the philosophy. It's not to drive kids into a particular career, but it's to help them put some parameters around how they navigate through all the wonderful courses we have at the high school. So we really have a nice complexion of running start courses for students who can get those early college credits, or the CTE classes. I think we have over 300 students participating in CTE classes at the high school. Our CTE classes are very popular. They're full. The only program that has space would be the business of healthcare, pretty much. So we're happy. Thank you for your support. We appreciate that. We always feel that people were willing to listen to us, are interested in our programs, and please come by, visit anytime.
Gonna take you up on that.
With the students if there are questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Caleb, you wanna go?
Sophia and I are just gonna give like a student report perform out in real quick. So for student council, last week we had our first spirit week. Participation actually went really well towards the end of the week. I think the first day, people might have like forgotten a little bit and go low, but then every other day we had like 60 to 70% normally. So we were really happy with that. And then we had our first like full-on pep rally since my freshman year. Because of COVID, it was inside. We've had a bunch of activities for all the kids. So far, the feedback we've got has been pretty positive. We're still waiting to meet as a student council and debrief it, but I think it went really well. And then on Saturday, the French Club hosted the first dance Belmont has had in over 4 years.
Yeah.
And we had just over 100 people that were there. It was from 7 to 10, and people seem to have a great time. There's a lot of posts about it on social media. Some people that weren't there, like, I wish I had come. So we're pretty happy with that. It made about $300 as a fundraiser. So we're also happy with that outcome. Yeah.
So the things that we're gearing up for in the next coming weeks, where student council will be putting on a food drive that we do every year. So we're very excited about that. And then also Green Group is going to be doing a tree plenish like fundraiser. So we'll get the trees from a company, and then we'll replace all of the carbon that we use to with the trees, and then plant them in the community. So that's something that we're also going to be working on as well.
That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And I would just like to finish that part with regard to, the week was fantastic with the students and the spirit week. The dance was incredible. To watch the students there dancing from basically 7 to 10, it was really outstanding. And I'm going to say, the staff that were present, we were dancing with the students. I would say right there, they're laughing. We were having as much fun as they were. So it was a really good time.
Oh, now I keep. So the rest that's happening in Charlestown Primary School, students just almost finished iReady, which is the online assessment tool that is used by a district. We're going to be reviewing that data in the coming weeks. But we've already formed intervention groups for all grade levels, which is pretty early for us, actually, which is a nice change. We completed our first school-wide assembly this past week. It went off without a hitch. We always invite parents in to recognize their family members. and get to interact. We always have fun at the very end and recognize all the positive things that students are doing within the school. So that's been great. We also have our pumpkin students or pumpkin people coming back. October 20th, we're going to be doing that at all 3 schools within Charlestown. So be on a lookout for them. Something that the 4th grade and I have been working with. We have been working with the Claremont Savings Bank on some financial responsibility and budgeting. They are kind of putting a small course together for towns. And we're going to be part of that for 4th grade. And that is going to be in the spring. We also have, since COVID, we have Kids and Cops coming back for 2nd grade. Chief Connors was in the other day, just having lunch, and realized that he hasn't been in the school for a number of years. And actually the little guys, pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade, they were actually a little nervous having police presence within the school. And that was not the case in the past. So we've talked about some avenues for having police join us more regularly for lunch, so that they become a little bit more familiar with the school and familiar with what the town has to offer, really. So besides that, finishing up, the Fall Mountain Endowment Grant has sponsored a number of different teacher projects. One that I like to recognize tonight is put on by our new art teacher, Michelle Bannon. She is doing a ceramics that she is going to be doing at all 3 schools. We're going to get a new kiln to be able to engage in some of those. That's her passion. But it's an expensive passion, I will say. But with the kiln, we'll be able to do clay and modeling again, which will bring a new level of art home, really. So we're excited about that. And they funded almost more than 50% of the kiln. So that's amazing.
That's nice.
Very cool.
Great.
Okay. So for Walpole, you asked for the strategic plan, priority areas for the goals and stuff like that. So for promote, we have one of the main focuses for us this year is the multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS. So I'm working with the staff on creating, last year they worked on their units and really mapped it out. So now we're talking about what interventions do we have in place for our tier 1 students, our tier 2 and tier 3. In tier 1, it's your universal instruction to everyone. Tier 2 is targeted instruction, and tier 3 is your intensive instruction. So we met last week as a group, talked about the different interventions that everyone is doing in the classroom. So one of our goals by January is to create a intervention menu where it's a binder or an online folder where all these different interventions are already in place for our staff to utilize. Why reinvent the wheel when we have things in place and that are working and are successful for our students? So we're opening up those discussions, and they're going to place in what grade levels they find them appropriate for and what tiers they fall under. For Cultivate, we started our clubs at the Walpole Elementary School, and some of those clubs are cooking, weightlifting, photography. We have a mentor program where our middle school students will help our PE teacher with our pre-K, K, and 1 students. They'll go and kind of mentor and help out during that time. They love that. We have board games and art club as the clubs. And then tomorrow is our fire prevention day, where our Walpole and North Walpole school, North Walpole Fire Department come and they do lessons on fire safety. And then the kids get to go out and sit in the trucks and everything. It's an exciting day for them. For Nourish, it's meeting. So one of the big things that we talked about is we want to make sure that, you know, we're supporting the needs of every student. We have different groups coming in. So we're meeting with our Hooper Institute staff to really sit down and discuss successful ways of learning for each student. And now that the teachers have really gotten to know their students, what works best for them, we're going to be having individual meetings with them at each grade level to talk, and so that way they know how to best support our students moving forward. And we feel now that we're really providing and pushing for more professional development opportunities for our staff to go out and be a part of that. Years past with COVID, it's just been hard because we haven't had coverage. It's not safe and all that kind of stuff at times, but now we're really promoting that. And we just had our support staff attended training on how to address behavior and support the teacher in the classroom setting. So we had 3 staff members that went to that, and they said it was outstanding. So we're going to continue to really push for those. For Engage, we start each staff meeting discussing students. That's our number 1 priority. So we open it up saying, you know, let's talk about the students, and then what's the best way to support them academically and social and emotionally, because we need to make sure every single staff member in the building has an understanding of what's going on for these students and how we can best support them. For our site-based, just created a new goal. We met last week, and it's to support an environment where opportunities for social emotional development are strengthened among staff and students. And we talked about how we need to do a better job of, you know, showcasing all the extracurricular activities to the community and the public, so that way they can really see how it's affecting and strengthening our students socially and emotionally. So we're talking about creating a pamphlet with all of those items, so that way we can get it out to community members as well. And then under Protect, we discussed the budget with our staff at the beginning of the school year and really made them understand how it works. A lot of them didn't really understand it. And we feel like, and they felt that after completing the budget this year, they feel more comfortable moving forward with everything. And then like Chris was saying, we reached out to local organizations to help and support our programs that we're offering at the schools. And the Fall Mountain Educational Endowment helped us with 3 of the programs that we asked for. We have our 8th grade going to Boston for a history tour, and then our 6th and 7th grade going to the Boston Science Museum. And then we also had our NHDI year-long program funded. And then we reached out to the Women of Walpole, who are considering sponsoring students to help them to be able to participate in that NHDI program, because there's a fee that goes along with that. And our main goal is to make sure that every student is able to participate no matter what.
Great.
So, and that is welcome.
Right, I'll go. Thank you, Justin and Xander, for reminding me about the priorities. So for promoting excellence, our American Heritage Tour leaves on Monday morning. I think it's at 6 in the morning. The students are very busy finishing up their reports that they have had to research on the different, venues that they're going to be visiting and reporting out on. So that's exciting. The staff are preparing for the upcoming parent-teacher conferences. The 3 teachers that are on HT are scheduling their conferences Wednesday and Thursday evening of this week, and parents have been notified of that. That being said, in the spring, we are actually going back to the student-led conferences that we started prior to COVID, that we found we got much better turnout, and the students took a lot more ownership of what they were learning and mastering by presenting at those conferences. Cultivating a positive culture. As I mentioned last month, we had the Colonial Theater presenting in the Violet Gym, and it was a Majesty's Secret Circus show to help children face challenges. There was acrobatics, comedy, juggling, slapstick comedy. One of the 3rd graders got to participate in it. And Katie Hanatow was great in organizing the event, and all 3 elementary schools came to it. So it really built that community of who we are all together. We are having a spooky science show planned for October. Violet attended Allison's Orchards, and when they returned, they all wrote poems afterwards about their experience, and that was something that was part of our enrichment experience, enrichment that I'll talk about shortly. Striving for Help, our 4 schools hosted a student flu clinic that was well attended, and Violet also hosted a staff flu clinic. And thanks to Nurse Terrian for coordinating that. our soccer, volleyball, and sports teams are winding up, and thankful to Walpole for combined our kids because we didn't have enough for teams. So for the girls soccer. School Picture Day, I think, is a good positive culture because it's the best when you see these first graders with no teeth smiling, to get their picture taken. So that's coming up on Wednesday. For nourishing and advancing our teachers, today our staff participated in a professional development day. And it was continuing the focus on being sensitive and responding to students' gender identity questions. And we had some great discussions in our attendance area groups. Our teacher leaders are developing individual and school learning goals and working in teams to develop them. I'm also pleased to announce, hopefully it'll be approved tonight. We'll have a new English teacher. I think it actually was approved last time. I'm not sure. But anyway, a new English teacher should be starting shortly. And we do need a music teacher. We're looking into venues, hopefully with some of the grant funds available for like Asheville at concert, just something to get, music in the schools, even for like an artist in residence, because, it's sad that our schools don't have any music teachers yet. Engaging students that have lost interest. We've started the iReady testing. We'll be starting the instructional components during, classes at the elementary schools, RTI, and at Vilas during our enrichment period. Every day we have an enrichment period first thing in the morning that focuses on building strengths in a certain content area that we rotate, whether it's writing, whether it's math, whether it's, reading, and it helps kids build strengths. It's not a catch-up time. It's really just working with students to really strengthen how they're doing in that content. We also have weekly clubs that we rotate every trimester, and teachers offer certain clubs. The after-school program has started up with 3 teachers in paras and supporting students' academic needs, but all being said, it also supports their social and emotional needs because the students who may not have as much support or just need that extra one-on-one attention or small group to do well. Linda Ferlin, Dory Ferreira, Hillary Robinson, and I know Alexis Civilian they're subbing to someone we can't do every day. And we have a para, Neil Robinson, is also supporting that. For protecting the public's investment, it's really important to get our community involved in the schools. We had our first site-based meeting. We have a very motivated group looking into ways to build more community interest and involvement. And a popular idea is a pavilion for the outside schools. And our group, with board member Joe Levesque's help, is looking into our next step for planning. So we're looking forward to talking about that at the next site-based meeting. I gave a great tour of Vilas and Sarah Porter to board member Kevin Keith, our Langdon rep. He visited every single classroom and spoke to every single teacher. So it was a really great morning. So, and teachers are really excited about it. And then also, I think I mentioned before, we had a couple of school booths from Vilas and the PTO and ATS at the Langdon Fall Fest. Our Homeland Security visits were successful. It's really nice to connect with the state officials and our local, officer of our first responders to work together and on really enhancing the security in our buildings. And like the other schools, we're planning Fire Safety Day and having our annual Pumpkin Palooza at Vilas and pumpkin parades and Halloween parades at the little schools. So that's it. Gail, that was a lot. Okay.
Great. First, next. So, for the special education department, everything has started off strong. We are still missing some paraprofessional positions in the district. So it's fantastic that we're hiring more people, but we do still have some gaps in the district, so we're continuing to work at that. On a positive note, we did hire a certified occupational therapy assistant, someone who lives locally, which is fantastic, because we really are focused on growing our own. It's going to be a huge savings for us not having a contract for that position. So I'm excited about that. The person's excited to be working in our district. So I just feel like it's going to be a win-win. And this is somebody just starting out in their career. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity. They're excited to build their skills too. So we're starting out with them at the beginning, which is fantastic. Looking at the staff, we've done a lot of professional development training, which is fantastic, much like Justin shared. It's great to be able to send people outside of our district down to do some more in-person training. They're excited to go to the training. to have that, meet with other colleagues to talk about what's happening in other districts. So we've, sent some of our new special education teachers with the training. Some of the, administrators have been to some training, for LEA, so if you're leading a special education, then that give you your training. We've done training also with some of our preschool. We have a preschool in district PLC, so professional learning committee, community going on, which is fantastic. We've done Medicaid training. This is for paraprofessionals, our special education teachers and related service providers, so we can really focus on getting some of that Medicaid billing, which will bring some funds back into our district, which is important. And then our accessible educational materials team has started meeting again, which is great. So that's that team that came last year and talked to us, AIM, about how to make things accessible for all of our students, not just students with identified needs, but all students in our district, which is fantastic. We've had our first meeting of our special education leadership team. So that was exciting for me. This is something that we really needed to form through the Department of Education, but I also wanted to form this several years ago. So it's great that we got this going. The purpose of this team is we're going to work collectively to discuss various ways that our district can meet the needs of our students with IEPs. There's administrators part of that team. There's teachers who also have students in our district that are part of the team. I'm trying to get a cross section. So we have high school involvement, preschool involvement. As the team continues, I'm going to look for community involvement, school board involvement. I don't want to expand the team too far right now, just to get our feet under us and get it going. But I'm really excited to get more perspective from what's happening in the district and feedback for myself, because it's hard for me to get around to all the schools. We have, 11 schools in this district, and I have a lot of responsibility back at the office. So trying to get out in the schools, it's great. I just want that feedback. I want to know what's really going on, where we're sending our students and how they're doing. So that's exciting for me. I do have to say our community school liaison has been busy. She's been out there getting around to the schools, meeting with our school counselors, our school nurses, meeting with administrators. She actually created a survey to look at some of the greatest needs that we have in our district. And what's been interesting is from this survey, what's come out is the greatest needs we're seeing right now are mental health and food insecurities. And I thought food insecurity was really interesting, because if we don't meet students' basic needs, they're not going to be available for learning. And again, this is not special education focus. This is entire district focus. So she's really making connections to our outside community agencies, trying to formulate ideas with these outside agencies, what we can do to help meet the needs of our students in the district. And just one example is she's trying to help out. There's a backpack program that they're trying to get started at the high school. It's been in the works for a couple of years now. A special education teacher and the school nurse have really been working at that. So she's also going to help them with that. And this would be an opportunity for students to have food to go home with them over weekends or holidays or breaks like that. We have that. I think it's pretty active in Charlestown at this point in time. So they're really looking to Charlestown for some guidance with that. But I think it's great that we're going to get that going at the high school also. So she's working with some of the food shelves to see how they get discounted food, looking for grant money, things that aren't necessarily going to cost us here in the district, but something that's really going to help support our families and the students. So that's exciting. And then the other thing I do want to talk about, and I included it in my information I gave to the school board tonight, is one of the things going on at the high school is I've been meeting with the high school teachers as we look at students' IEPs, their individual educational programs, to ensure that each student has a successful plan as they transition from high school to adulthood. So let's look at college, workforce, independent living. And one of the things that came out of this is we really started looking at, ED 306.27, and that looks at high school curriculum credits, graduation requirements. And what I'm bringing up tonight, and I know this will just be the beginning of a longer conversation, so I'm just going to start this conversation with everybody. And Sarah, you were at the meeting that I was at also when we went in August to the State of the State with the Department of Education. Is one of the concerns, we have students with IEPs, and if they're following a modified curriculum, which means that they're not demonstrating, let's say, mastery needed to earn high school credit, what are we offering for alternatives? Right now, we only offer a high school diploma. So we do have a 20 credit, 24 credit, and 28 credit diploma, but we offer no other option. And really by law, we need to offer some other options. So we definitely need to be offering a certificate of completion, which is not a high school diploma. These would be for students that really need to stay in school till probably the age of 22. They would really be looking at developing more of their life skills or transitional skills. Another alternative is the alternate diploma. And this came out about from the Every Student Succeeds Act. This would be something that the school board would have to decide that they did want to create a policy where we would have this. So this isn't, and this is not a have to, but I do think it's something we should explore. It's an option for students who have significant cognitive disabilities and participate in the alternative assessment. So it would be an alternate diploma. It's not for regular education students, it's not for students with 504 plans, but it would be students who would have otherwise been granted a certificate of completion. This is going to be a big shift for our families in our district, because up until now, we really just had diplomas. So we're going to have families who may say, well, why is my child not getting a diploma? Why are they getting a certificate of completion? What's the difference? And so we're going to have to come up with some real programming so people understand it. And my ideal, what I'd like to have happen, and we're not there right now, is as students enter the high school, we would sit down with each one of our students with IEPs and talk about what their plan is moving forward, and we revisit that every year, much like we do with the IEP, we revisit that plan moving forward. So we could sit down your 8th grade spring as you enter our high school and say, with a family sitting there and probably the student sitting there and say, I anticipate this student's going to get a 20 credit diploma. What does that look like for the next 4 years? What does that look like for the next 6 years or even 8 years? And then we revisit it. That may change. It may be, no, they're going to get the 24 credit, they're going to get the 28 credit, or no, they're going to be looking at the certificate of completion. I'm more concerned that our students walk out the door with the skills they need to be successful moving into adulthood. So I just wanted to start that. I did include that in the packet so everybody could see, but I just want to be clear that, how do I want it? Well, just to be clear, we don't have a choice in this. We do need to have an alternative. So we do need to have a certificate of completion and or an alternate diploma. We cannot continue with just having diplomas for these students. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. Sarah, if you have anything you wanted to add, and you were at that meeting with me too, when we talked about that.
Yeah, certificates of completion are like a issue for me, but I think that the concept of having a plan as students, that was always any of my students when I was working at the high school, as they came in in their 8th grade year, coming into the high school, we always sat down and did a plan for a 4-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 6-year plan, whatever that plan needed to be, and then we revisited it every year. Sometimes it was a 4-year plan that turned into a 6-year plan, you know, depending on what the student did. But I think that that's a very, very important thing to do, because if you don't know where you're going, you don't know how you're ever going to get there.
So what I find is we have those plans for those students with the greatest needs, but we don't always have those plans for a range of students. We also don't have a transition team at our high school. And I don't necessarily think this needs to cost us more money. I think it's just a matter of looking at how we're doing things. And looking at the staffing we have and how we can make this work. One of the challenges,
I think it actually will end up costing you less money, because if you have a plan, then you know where your students are going.
yeah, and I think one of the challenges we have, and what I'm seeing, which I'd say the high school's dynamic, that high school special education team is very dynamic. They're doing a great job right now of reconnecting with our outside workforce. They're connecting with outside agencies again. We're able to get students back out to where they used to be, which is fantastic. Transportation is an issue. I'm just going to be transparent with the school board. That's one of the things that we'll be bringing up at some point. It's very difficult because, and it's not because transportation's not working with us. They're very much working with us. It's having drivers available. It's being able to balance what we have for like how many vans we have so we can get students to different locations. It's balancing with CTE so they can get where they need to be, or our sports team so they can get where they need to be, and our students get where they need to be. Yeah. So transportation is one of our biggest hurdles for this piece, I think, moving forward. But I think we can all work together and figure this out. I'm just excited to work with that team. They're very excited to do this moving forward. Like I said, they have been doing it, but with COVID, it really kind of got us off track a little bit. So it's nice to get back on track. Yeah.
I read, I didn't see any kind of implementation date or a due date on that. Is there one?
Well, we really need to be doing this as soon as possible. So I was bringing it forward thinking that this would probably be a longer discussion. I'm going to be completely transparent and say, I don't necessarily can't tell you today, like, this is what this plan would look like moving forward. If the board chooses to explore alternate diploma, that's something that would a policy comes from the school board. So we would have to talk about what that would look like. Certificate of completion, again, is a meeting with the family, and we would talk about what that plan looks like. But those students have every right to stay in school, inclusive the 21, which means to their 22nd birthday. What I envision, and just again, so everybody's aware, is if the students stay in school and they're in a specific classroom, they can only be in that classroom with students a range of 4 years under a certain case manager. So what happens is we could have a student in our school at 15, let's say, and then as they go up, we would need a different classroom, a case manager, they go up, but then we get to the 21-year-olds, that's where it gets tricky. And my conversations with the Department of Education have been, what they expect is that 20 to 22 would be transitioning out to do other things. So that's really where we get into the transportation piece. What does that look like? What support does that student need to have in place? And my thought is we would be having that discussion when they're 15, so we're prepared by the time they get to that age, we know what that's gonna look like. But right now, we need to figure that out. We do have some students of that age. We have some students that are 2021 right now. So we're gonna have to plan for that.
Yeah, question. So, yes, I hope we would add the conversation to policy.
We have a, we have
yeah,
a draft policy.
we
that
do.
will Be coming forward, and Sandra is actually, I
Okay.
had
did
sent a
share,
draft, yeah,
Okay.
NHSB policy for her to look over and
Okay.
for us to have that discussion.
Okay,
Policy.
great.
Yeah.
Because that'll come with guidelines, yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks for bringing it
And
up.
Sandra, I
Sandra.
have a format for doing 4-year and 6-year plans.
That'd be great.
So I can share that with you.
Yeah, anything you want to share would be great. Thank you.
Great. I think that's it for the building reports. Want to go back to Nancy?
Go back to.
Okay. Or not even go back, but.
Just where am I going?
So I'm just gonna give some of the kind of the most salient parts of the superintendent's report that maybe either collectively I want to get out to you, or also sometimes for people in the viewing public to hear as well. So the first thing I had was the board communication. I know at our last meeting it was brought up. So what I tried to do for you is lay out the questions that were asked, as well as some of the guidance that's out there. So for example, there were questions about boundaries. You know, how is it determined who goes to what school? And the answer is it has been based, as near as I can tell, on the past on enrollment trends. And so it's not a set boundary, it sort of moves around a little bit when kids, you know, when families become empty nesters, that changes where the boundary would be because there aren't as many kids in those houses. And my understanding is that there's always tried to be like a 1/4 at NCCS, 3/4 at CPS type ratio based on space and things. I don't know if that's the exact amount, but something like that. There was also a question relative to school nurse coverage, and basically what the rules say is you need the coverage that you need, right? And so some of our neediest kids, we do have them go to Charlestown Primary because we have a full-time nurse coverage there. So really it's, I don't know if you can put something back to the family or families that's clear until you decide kind of what you want as a board, right? So I listed some possible solutions. They're not all the solutions. They're just some of the ones I had come up with. You could clearly define the boundaries, but that could create problems going forward. You could allow choice and have some type of a lottery system. You can change the grade configurations in the schools so that, you know, kind of like in North Walpole changed so that all the kids, whether they were in Walpole or North Walpole, went to North Walpole for, what is it, 2, 3, 4? Or,
Yep.
Yep, hey, pretty good. And you could do something like that. You could just keep it as it is. I know coming up, you have some amendment language that, depending on what the ultimate choices of the board and what the ultimate choices of the voters, you may not want to change anything if you have other plans going forward. So I just tried to lay it all out for you. We can have a fuller discussion and make it an item at some point if that's what people would like, but I didn't want people to think that we weren't like thinking about it, paying attention to it, that type of thing. The next thing I wanted to talk about briefly is the Extraordinary Needs Grant. It's become a thing in Claremont, so it's in the paper. So I got a call today from a reporter asking me what we were doing with it. So the Extraordinary Needs Grant is money that the legislature decided to provide to certain school districts that met kind of a socioeconomic threshold, right? So it's, you know, if you were in Rye, for example, you were not getting the Extraordinary Needs Grant. To my knowledge. I think there were like 58 or something districts that got something. We actually got $264,304. we spoke to our attorney. Our attorney said, you know, the turnaround time to hold a special meeting, to accept the money, do all this stuff is so tight. For this particular year, really, the best approach, in his opinion, was to just allow it to go back to reduced taxes. So I included in your list the breakdown of how that was calculated to go back. That was on the DRA website, is that right, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah, and so I know a question was asked like, whoa, this doesn't seem to match our methods. Has nothing to do with our methods. It has to do with the Department of Revenue Administration, free and reduced and such.
I actually got it from the DOE, the adequacy aid statement that they sent out.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
yeah, that's
When
all
you said
right.
DRA, I went, no, DOE.
They're all acronyms, they're all
Yeah.
fine. We got it from the DOE,
There we go.
but how they broke it down, but I'm still pretty sure it's broken down by the same.
Of education.
NHED, New Hampshire Education Department now, that's their new name. Yeah,
So it's based on adequacy
It's-
formula.
yeah, so it's not gonna be the same.
That makes sense why Charlestown's is higher.
Correct.
Yeah.
A lot higher.
Yeah.
So
Adequacy formula.
It's all based on that.
That's
free
right.
reduced.
the next thing that I wanted to just make the board aware of are, let's talk about snow, okay, snow day. We've talked as an administrative team, we've talked to the unions out there that we have, and we really want snow days to be snow days. Okay, when it snows, you have a snow day. We don't want to do the remote days. We don't want to do things like that there. And in our opinion, they're fairly inherently inequitable, given, you know, some of the internet issues, even the parenting issues, you know, I mean, if parents have to go to work, who's overseeing the stuff? And so what we want to do is have snow days. If for some reason the snow people are really ruthless, we will revisit it at around day 4 or day 5, because that's when we have to start making up days. And we know that people also hate going really late into June. But so that's what we're planning to do. The other thing is, back in the day, we always had a policy that, you know, administrators had to come in because someone had to be at the building to answer the phone. Life has changed. People can call me 24/7 because all the calls go to my cell phone, and that is true of all of us. And so rather than risking life and limb, we will work remotely and still answer all the calls. And you can test it if you'd like. Just give me a random call about 6, 7 in the morning. I've already been talking to the
Right, you've already been talking to.
road agents
road
anyway,
agents,
so it's all good.
the DOT.
The DOT, sometimes the police, so that's what we're planning to do.
Here.
Thank you, Shelley, thank you. Website update, just to let really the public to know, and I think I've mentioned it to you, we're in the process of transitioning to a website that really allows a lot more control of the content. And so concerns that may have been raised about, that was there last week, where is it now? You know, those will go away, because right now it's really tough. Just, I mean, it's the method of how websites were developed. It wasn't like any of us could really easily manage it. And now you can, it's drag and drop. And so we're transitioning to a website that's drag and drop based. So it's not all put on one person from IT. Misty can do a huge amount. Christy could do a huge amount, you know, Pam, anyone. They'll be able to sort of monitor and update their own websites. I think you'll find it a lot more robust than what we have, a lot more timely. And I did list a few places that people want to look. Currently, Franklin uses this company, Claremont uses a company, and Newport uses the company. They all use it to different degrees, but it'll give you at least a sense of what it looks like. It also comes with the all famous app, where you can pick and choose what you want. I only want to look at, ours are going to be prettier, and that's because Misty is dealing with that aspect, it would be all text for me. So that would be bad. So that is the superintendent report.
Do they a date, whichever date?
Not yet.
No, I'm guessing what, a couple of months,
Yeah.
maybe?
I'd say by the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
around there.
Sometimes it's really good to do it when there's a break, because, you know, all this, so there's a combination of content, some of which is relevant that you want to transfer, and some of which is not. And so if you do it on a break, there's a lot less traffic oftentimes, so you can say, huh, I meant to transfer that. Where is the superintendent's page? You know, and you can deal with the little things that come up. Although I will say, we did transition in Newport last year, and there were hardly any glitches. I think there was a logo issue on one page or something, so.
No, that's good.
And even our biggest website detractor had to admit that it was pretty good. So, it's a good deal.
Will all the schools be transitioning to?
They
or-
will, yeah. Yeah, it's one whole site. Really, it's funny, one of the things that this is a Misty design type question we had. Although it does get to something that someone mentioned coming in about colors, right? So a lot of websites, if you go to Claremont, I think they're all red and white, for example. If you go to Newport's, they're all orange and black. If you go to Fall Mountains, they might be blue and yellow, they could be green, they could be maroon and white, depending on school colors and things like that. And so there is a conversation about, you know, do you go with a particular color schematic, but then allow for adaptations like with logos and things, or do you kind of go as we have in the past, where, you know, people use their own color? That's still in conversation. I don't believe any determination has been made in it. I don't know. She'll come back later.
I'll email you.
They don't let me know that important type stuff. Only when I need to know.
Cool.
And then you want Mary to go, and then you'd be done this whole section.
Oh, yes.
Ask a
question.
Of
I'm not
course, I'm
sure
sorry.
if I should ask my question about the extraordinary needs grant during the treasurer's report, or should I ask?
You can do it anytime you like.
All right, then my
Has to do with
question
money, so there you
is,
go.
okay, a good segue then. My question is, where are we going to see these amounts actually show up? Is there gonna be a line item when we submit things so that Charlestown can see or Ackworth can see that they've been credited that towards their tax rate?
It's gonna show up on the tax rate, soft on the setting, you know exactly which slide it is, but it's gonna go in the adequacy aid side. It'll be where the adequacy is.
Show up on the apportionment sheet if you provide it this year.
Right.
So the apportionment sheet will show this as a separate line item, as credited to Ackworth, Alstead. all
Against
five.
the expenditures.
I mean, I can make it a separate line item, but it would be in your adequacy aid line that you'd be able to tie back to the state, because the state.
Is it possible to separate that from our actual adequacy aid so that people can see
so people
these
can
two
see it.
lines?
Yes,
It would be good, Mary,
If-
if it's possible.
I don't know what Mary's using for the, you know what I mean, the apportionment
Yes,
sheet
I know
that
what
has
you're
to be
talking about.
ratified that goes to the state.
Yeah. I can't
That's
do
gonna
it.
show the assessment.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna show the initial assessment, and it's gonna show the dollar amount. I should show the dollar amount offset.
Right, but it'll show it as one full amount with the whole adequacy. It's not gonna.
So it'll
separate
show
it out.
adequacy, it'll show offset, and it'll show this grant. It'll have all.
This,
three.
it's not, this isn't it's part of adequacy. That's how
Oh,
it's
they're
being paid.
treating it as.
It's
part of
treating it as
adequacy.
adequacy, so it's gonna show up in the adequacy line.
Okay. Upping
on
the
that.
adequacy.
Yeah, that, I'm not gonna be able to separate that out on that sheet, but I mean,
Right.
I can show it if you want.
Just show it on a
Just
Excel
show it on your
spreadsheet,
own
what the initial
right.
assessment was.
Right, and you can pull it up on the DOE's website where you can see the adequacy aid. If you Google that, you'll see the estimated and it'll show it right in those lines.
But that one even shows them separate.
Yes, it shows them
So
separate.
can we do that maybe just for the annual report or however it goes and list it out for our
Well, that's why I'm
community
saying
members?
I would hope this year
that we will have the assessment and apportionment page added back into the annual report that was missing in the other years where everybody got confused and couldn't see the surplus being paid back.
Yeah.
And the breakdown of that. And it would show the adequacy aid number change with the offset. So that page, it's a two-page document. And it's called assessment and apportionment, and you can follow the money through, you can follow the expenditures through, goes to each individual town. And then you can follow all the revenues through, and it will show the breakdowns of the revenues out to each individual town. That's been missing in some of your data that's been coming out. Because the folks doing it just didn't know, right?
That's understandable with
Yeah.
having,
Not
feedback
having,
last year
yeah,
where we
exactly.
didn't know how we did
And
it.
I
So,
don't know if he did, I don't know if Jim did it the year before or not.
I think so.
Okay,
I think last year was the
Last year was the only.
I think
Okay.
last year was the only year that it wasn't in.
yeah.
I
So
would
I
just
think,
like to
and
see an additional line, maybe in that place, so that people who are
Sure.
asking the question, hey, we received some.
additional
additional aid.
adequacy.
we wanna
So
know
that would
by.
be easy to tweak that Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, to
Thank
do
you.
separate lines and then
And-
tie
and-
it back to one.
Related to this, like one last question would be, would we see this in our monthly bill? Would it go down
No.
X amount of dollars? Would never see this in our monthly
Oh,
bill.
no.
It's gonna stay the same.
Well,
So this
no,
money
you're
isn't
gonna-
really taxed.
Well, you will see it in the tax rate setting adjustment, depending on which way it goes. I
Yeah.
don't know if your taxes are gonna go up or they're gonna go down, but it's gonna be in when we do the tax rate setting.
And it's gonna be really complicated probably this year that at the town levels.
Yeah, I mean, that's. the
We're gonna
thing.
have to really show what's happened, because I know in Walpole, we got a huge new assessment. My house went up by 154%. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I almost fell off my chair. And so that's gonna affect the rate
Yeah,
that
when-
we
if-
projected.
If your house rates went way up and then you have this little.
The
amount
rate
that
should
goes
come
to
down,
everybody,
right? And then
that's
this other
not gonna-
amount.
It's not gonna look
Yeah.
like.
But we
anything.
can show that.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
can
we can
show.
do that. I can put something together to
Yeah.
show that when the tax rates are set, so that we can go over it.
For this
And-
year and then
right.
for next year.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can get it.
Appreciate it. Just need to be able to explain.
I-
that's
I-
okay.
Dave went back though and tried to, didn't he go back and try to recreate that? I thought he did. Let me see, because I thought he
Which
did.
the tax rate?
The one that was the apportionment
300,000.
assessment pages that were missing.
Yeah, but anyways,
Yeah,
I'm working
so,
on that.
okay. I think he did
So-
it too, if you want a copy.
Are we ready for your
Anyway,
report?
go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna move us forward.
That's okay. No, I'm gonna be brief. We're right in the middle of budget season. Everybody knows that. The administrative team has been working very diligently and very hard, and they've been great to work with. We are meeting again on Thursday to go over, or well, tomorrow as well, individually to go over our individual areas one more time to make sure we have our staffing right and things of that nature. Then the whole team will be coming together on Thursday morning to do a review again. So we're getting there. We're very close, and I'm very excited about it. I'm working on it now. And we're also in negotiations. Again, we're working on that. You know, the office right now has really been in full swing, just dealing with budget, to be honest. That's what we've been working on, so I'm trying to
know
get
about
ready. Yeah,
I was doing budget for Goshen and getting ready for my daughter's wedding, so it was like.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but
great.
it's been really good. Everybody's been working really hard, and it's
About the wedding.
it's been great. We're getting there.
Yes. So could we have a quarterly report at the next meeting, maybe just off of the Ivy?
Yes.
Thanks
we can
for
have that.
through 9:30. Thank you.
So. Are you
Yeah,
done?
I'm good. Unless anybody else has any other questions for me?
I have a couple questions on the vouchers.
Okay.
So there was one line, well, first off, some of the ones we got emailed to us weren't in here, and some of the ones in here didn't get emailed. So
Okay,
most of them are easy enough to scan through here fairly easily. But that would be nice to tighten up a little. So then I had a question. In one of these, what is location 702? I'd never seen it anywhere else before.
location 702,
Yeah.
Is it a grant?
it could be.
What's the leading
Yeah,
two
what's the-
numbers?
How do I print that out? This is not gonna.
It's gonna be a grant. I think it's a grant.
Search on location 70209.
That's what I'm doing.
This is actually the treasurer's report, so do you want to look for that?
Oh,
And we
there
can
you
talk
go.
about it during the
Look for
treasurer's
that.
report.
Oh, I thought that's what.
It was it's actually the donations area where that pavilion was done for Walpole.
So
Okay,
it's
that's an
special
in and
revenue.
out.
Special revenue and
Okay.
special, yep, in and out.
All right, thanks. All
All right, I did not know.
Pretty good memory in there.
She was giving the business report. All right. So superintendent search update. So, just, do you want to talk about it, or you want me to talk about it, or what do you want to do? I don't know. We are moving forward in terms of the superintendent search. We have established a committee. And Misty's going to be contacting Michelle,
Munson.
Michelle Munson. And then Michelle will be organizing that committee. We have tried to make that committee be representative. We really were working hard to make that committee be representative, to pull in people from all different aspects. So we were working hard to have board representation from the different, and have different towns represented, and have different have administration represented, and have the teachers union, teachers level represented, and have support staff represented, and parents from it's very hard to get representative from everywhere. So we were working, but we've worked hard to try to do that. We're still working a little bit on parents. But we think that we'll be able to get that finished up. We want to make sure that the Alsted attendance area has parent representation on it. That's the one that we're a little bit light on.
I did update the list.
Oh, you
and, it's in your board docs folder.
Yeah.
So I did do that this afternoon with where we are with people. So.
Right, because I had some observations I just wanted to share.
Okay.
I'll go first. It just seemed in reading through, and I don't know, I'm thinking I looked at the brandy new one, because I was
There
just
was one
reading.
list that you received as a
Earlier,
board in
yeah.
the letter.
Yeah.
It's similar, but there are a couple of.
So I think you answered my question, Sarah. Thank you. And thank you for your work, because I know it's not easy doing this.
Yeah.
It seems heavy on administration to me. I was
Yeah,
curious
we
about.
felt like it was a little heavy on administration too, but it was a matter of who we got that said that they wanted to do
Okay,
it.
so that's why, okay. I wondered if it was the pool that you
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
choose from. Gotcha.
We put out,
Okay.
and we put out as in as many
Okay.
ways as we, we put it on Facebook.
That
we put
makes
it-
sense
We sent
then.
it out,
Yeah.
letters to parents, we did in
And
all
then
the ways that we
yeah.
have put out, that
Okay.
we have put out information before,
Okay.
we put it out there. And,
Understandable.
So we're.
And then
we're
you're
still
working
sort of
on the
seeking-
parent thing and the Alsted thing, which I noticed.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm good. Thanks.
Shelley, did you want?
I would just hope that we're gonna reach out to some Charlestown parents. Charlestown is not really overly represented on this superintendent search. You're looking at 3 people, all of which are either on the school board or works for the school. If you need some names, let me know.
Sure.
But I mean, I would feel a bit more comfortable if we could get 1 or 2 more people from the 46%
And the younger.
apportionment of this district.
Yeah. Yeah, which
Somebody
would
with
be
children.
fine. It's like I said, we
Get what you got.
we were looking at who we had that sent in that they wanted to do it, so. So yeah, if you have some suggestions,
Right.
Shelley, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll do some feelers.
All right. So, yeah, and so we're trying to get going as quickly as we can. We want to get this off to Michelle as quickly as we can, like yesterday.
She's really looking for the information. She's
Because-
looking to put the committee together next week for like first round discussion.
Because we're already a little bit behind, where, we want to get this going so that we aren't, missing the train. So. That's where we are. Right now, we're at the station. We have not missed the train, but we don't want to miss the train, so. So are there other questions or concerns or? All right. Let's see, what do I have next? The consent agenda.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
I have one. Do we have, well, is there anything that anybody wants to move off the consent agenda? That's, I guess, the question.
So, no, maybe not. Where did it, so maybe it's just under other. I just wanted to chat about the new budget timeline.
Yeah, that was just informational.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can do that after.
Yeah.
Okay, great,
All right.
thank you.
So, now, we had a.
Yeah,
We have a
motion and a
yeah,
second.
We do a second, okay. All right, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on. We have the action agenda. Approval of amendments to Articles 3 and 18 of the Belmont Regional School District. Articles of Agreement, right? No.
Sarah, I have a question. Could we table this until the next school board meeting, please?
That would be
Yeah,
a
you just
motion?
need to make a motion.
You need to make a motion.
I make a motion to table action agenda item approval of amendments to the next school board meeting, please.
Second.
Discussion?
Can you speak to the
Discussion?
amendment?
Can you
Can you
speak to
speak
it?
to the motion?
I need more time to work on this.
Was
That's
it,
it.
was it not prepared by the attorney?
It was. This is what came out of the workshop.
This is what came out of the workshop.
Mhm. I still have questions that I need to work on.
Okay.
And you have time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Do we vote on that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, there's-
Okay,
Yes.
all right, any further discussion on tabling it? Or do we just
to the
move
next-
to
People to the next meeting.
Yeah,
that's
table to the
important.
next meeting, right? Okay, all in favor?
For clarity, are we asking to table it to the next board workshop, of which we will have the attorney there, so that might be a really great time to ask the questions that we have.
Please.
So
Thank you.
10:24.
Yep.
So, point of clarification, I think it should still, the vote on it should be taken in public for public view. So could we discuss it at the next workshop and then vote on it at the first meeting in November?
Yep.
Okay.
But we'll
Thank you.
revisit it for discussion.
Sure,
Yep.
absolutely.
Table it again.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure, we will set the table, right? Okay. All in favor of tabling the amendment, or tabling the approval of the amendments until the next workshop
Yeah, 10:24.
on 10/24?
Yeah.
For discussion on 10/24.
Yep.
All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right,
I appreciate the board, thank you.
no problem. All right, committee reports. I will say that for my committee report from the River Valley, it was Yom Kippur, so or it was Yom Kippur. Yeah, it was Yom Kippur, so I did not go. I was in synagogue all day,
Nice.
literally all day, and I did not eat.
We didn't have any meetings.
I don't know if any committees have met.
Well, we've met,
Policy, but
Yeah,
you have in
policy.
front of you what we did,
Yeah.
yeah.
budget committees met.
We
Yeah,
had popcorn and we had.
Oh,
What
yeah.
committee are you on?
Oh, yeah.
You guys
PD
met.
committee met.
I was off to, then I was off to my daughter's wedding, so. It's
Actually,
been quite a week for me.
They spent the meeting approving the 3-year plans that all the teachers have to put together. They all put together a 3-year plan for their professional development, and they spent the meeting going through all of those, which they do, and they approve them. They self.
Budget committee met. Had really good discussion, actually. I felt it was good discussion for some clarity on direction. And what we wanted to try to accomplish, discuss changes to, that's a good time then, discuss that. Discuss changes to the budget timeline. I just have 2 questions, and it might be a legal reason for, I just don't know, because it hasn't been a budget committee in a long time. We had looked for a reference to January 2nd. And that wasn't added. Maybe the hen scratch that you got didn't have it on it, maybe.
I don't know what you're.
Okay,
referring to, I'm sorry.
that's all right. It was, hold on, I took a picture of the one that I thought I gave you, but maybe I kept it. January 2nd, we looked at putting on that the budget committee meets to finalize the budget for the hearing. Because the budget committee is the one that will finalize the budget.
So in lieu of the December 12th, you want to move it to January 2nd?
No, we're still meeting on December 12th,
Okay,
but I don't think that was to finalize it. That was,
for the budget hearing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Oh, so we moved it. Okay, we moved it back. I thought December 12th, it was gonna be, I know we changed it like 5 times that night, okay? Was for the board to review draft warrant articles. And then the budget committee was gonna come back January 2nd to finalize, to give us more time. Am I remembering it wrong?
Last date I saw was January 12th. That is
That's a hearing.
That's the hearing.
That's the hearing, but we have to
That's the
final,
deliberative hearing?
yeah, no, that's
No, the
the,
budget hearing.
that's the budget hearing for the board and us. But for us to finalize it to go to that usually occurs prior, does
I
it
remember a
not?
Saturday
And
meeting.
I think January
talking about-
2nd, pretty close to that. What's that?
I remember you talking about a Saturday meeting. Was that date a Saturday?
No, it's actually a holiday. We were talking about a holiday. It's actually a holiday that we were willing to meet on. Okay, well, I'll go back and check on that and get back to you.
Sure.
And then on the meeting of January 23rd.
Yeah.
Is that correct as stated that the school board would finalize and adopt the budget? I think the budget committee finalizes and adopts the budget.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. I
Yeah,
I
we can
just
check
simply
with-
make that
we
condition.
can check with
on
board.
the
Yeah.
24th,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I can bring this entire thing to the next workshop and we can just
Oh,
go
good.
through all of those
Okay.
deadlines.
I'll go back and
processes.
check our notes on the other one with Gabe, because he had them written down too.
Yeah.
So that was it on that. And so, yeah, I think we had great discussion. We were hoping to get some reports for us to look through of expanded expenditures from the last year, so we could familiarize ourselves with what kind of expenses go in what sections of the budget line items. I don't know. I've been dealing with medical family issues, so I have not gone out to look in the folder. Okay, so maybe you can work on that, Mary, by Wednesday morning, so we might have just a few of them even for that night would be great. Okay, thank you. That's it for us.
Great.
Other than policy, which you can talk to if you want.
Oh, we just approved them.
We just approved them, so.
That's good. Talk about the delegates sometime.
Oh, the New Hampshire School
Yes.
Board Association delegation. That was very interesting. They basically what they do every year is they vote on these continuing resolutions, which is what they really want to lobby for and against. And there's a list of them. I have it if anybody really wants it. It comes. I've got it in paper, unfortunately,
Nice,
but
they give you special ones.
I will find them if you need them, but I'm pretty sure they're on their website.
Their email.
And what they did was they had 7 resolutions, or at least they said they had 7, but when I looked at them, I mean, one of them was an obvious duplicate, so they really only had 6 that they were working on last year. And were able to take 2 of the 6 that were changed from what the legislature had done. So there were 2 of them that were basically okay, we were successful on these two. So they took those off. And then they had a whole bunch of them from all of the districts asking for other things. That's what we voted on, was to decide which ones will become continuing resolutions going forward. And of that, they took 2 off and they actually added 3 more on. So they now have 7 going forward this year. And the new ones were one was from the Derry district, one was from the Chester district, and the one was from the Dresden district. Those are the 3 new ones. Let's see, they dropped the broadband, having the one that they dropped was basically that hasn't been resolved yet. But now that they've thrown so much federal money at it, that they don't really need the school board to do this. And that's the broadband issue that we all know about, especially living in rural parts of the area. So they dropped that one. And they know that that'll be resolved eventually, because there's just too much money. Even Comcast wants to now wire all of Alstead, which is incredible. They've been sitting on that for what, 30, 40 years. And now they want to do it.
Ackworth got wired.
Yeah, Ackworth got completely wired, but they used their opera money for it, when Alstead, of course, didn't. So we'll wait. But the bottom line from that, let's see, what they dropped was there was an issue about changing the idea nomenclature, which is special education, and the state actually changed what they do with that. They didn't make any changes to idea, but they said no, idea stays the way it is. And so they don't have to lobby for that anymore, because the state finally ruled that what we're doing with idea is the right thing to do. Basically, it took them, and there's another one, it took them what, 30 years to figure that out. But the bottom line is that it was very interesting. There were pretty exciting things going on. The new one that was added is about food insecurity. They want the legislature to go for lobby the legislature to do what we did during COVID, which was just basically buy lunch for everybody. We didn't care what your income was. We'll buy lunch and breakfast for everybody and not have to go through all this paperwork. And they think that so they're gonna lobby for it. They didn't want to, but the delegates there, those of us that went, we voted for it. We said, just do it. I mean, it needs to be done. It obviously worked. There's no reason why we shouldn't go forward with this as a good idea that okay, there's one good thing that came out of COVID. So let's run with it. And that was basically the issue there. It was a pretty good meeting. And like I said, before I was nominated, if anybody else wants to do this, I'm more than welcome to step aside, but I did enjoy it. It's nice to go. It was a nice day, nice drive, got my foliage in. Saw the windmills in Antrim going up and then coming back. So all in all, it was pretty good.
So Joe, is there a continuing resolution about getting more funding for unfunded mandates from the state?
Oh, yes,
Okay,
that one hasn't changed. And of course, the legislature hasn't acted on that one. But they go a lot of what they decide which bills to support and not to support have to do with funding. If the state says that we should do something that really needs to be done, that we really should do, and the state wants to give us $0 for it, they may go against it and say, no, let's lobby not to do, let's not put this burden on local communities anymore. So they have been adamant about trying to get, like for example, the state likes to say what a great surplus we have right now. And they're saying, well, if you paid public education, what you're supposed to pay according to your own constitution, you wouldn't have a surplus.
Well, and plus New Hampshire has the, distinction of being the last in the country in state aid education.
Yeah.
And even if it was tripled, we'd still be last.
Right. We went from, it used to be if you doubled it would be last.
Yeah.
But now it's if you tripled it would be last. So it's like, yeah. And the opposite side of that coin, this is what we were discussing there, was that the state seems to have absolutely no problem at all at funding us at 50th in the nation, yet they seem to be #1 in the nation in telling us exactly what we have to do with the money that we have to collect, not from them. But,
Thanks for doing that, Joe.
oh, you're welcome.
It's important.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe, for doing that, absolutely.
No, it was a good drive. Like I said, it was a nice day.
All right, any other committee reports? Okay. Anything else on the treasurer's report? Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion. It's just a-
Okay,
accept-
well, one of you have to second.
Oh, I'll second it then.
Okay, either way.
All right, any discussion on the treasurer's report?
I have one question, but go ahead.
Oh, I only had the question about, the 702,
Okay,
which is
which is
answered
been
for
in,
me.
okay, all right,
Thank you.
And my only statement was that I like getting all of this information prior to the meeting, rather than just be handed that sheet of paper and have to go through it while the meeting is going on. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Makes it easier.
As long as they match.
Well,
I-
okay.
yes. And
Okay.
so, yeah, to that point, so. One question about Jackson Lewis prior year, and I'm sorry, I was flipping through because I haven't had a chance to look at them at a time. 17,480. Any thought on that?
Jackson Lewis?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mary.
I-
could go
I-
back through and
Oh,
find it.
yeah, I know what that was.
You
That's a
did?
legal thing.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
Okay.
yes, it is.
Okay, very good. It just said prior year.
Yeah, I didn't get the name and then Misty whispered.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Good
Yeah.
enough.
Okay.
And the only other thing I'd say is just when we get a chance to do the one.
I know.
It's so much easier than signing all of them, but thank you. It's getting there and I appreciate it.
For sure.
Okay.
She's gonna get them.
Easiest trade. I don't think. we have to.
all right.
We have a non-public this
Do
evening.
we have a vote? Did we vote?
we didn't vote on
We
it.
didn't.
So, yeah, we didn't finalize the vote on the, we have a second, we were discussing. So we need a vote on the treasury report. Any further discussion on the treasury report? Hard to say. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So,
So, I mean, I can just, we had put that as a placeholder, just in case. We had a couple of situations where families might be coming or individuals. I think where the one family I'm meeting with this week, and the other ones are gonna submit information to Misty. So it's really up to you. I don't really see that you have to have it, but if you want to have one, you could.
Oh, a non-public?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I make a motion to adjourn.
there's information, that last piece is information. Anything,
I would
Do they
just,
have any questions on it?
anybody have any questions on the information stuff, the updated budget timeline? It's in your packet.
so we'll go over that again on the 24th.
The school board calendar I updated with the 2 dates that the budget committee had talked about.
Right, so maybe just add the 23rd if that comes out to be right. And then the only other thing is a comment to that the school board would like to thank Griffin Construction for the funds
Yeah,
that they've sent in.
and we'll be careful with the fireworks. right?
They're done.
We
So
were careful with the
They were
fireworks.
very careful.
Sure they were.
It was awesome.
Liability.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be good.
It shows.
All right,
Sure,
Shelley, your
moment.
turn. Now.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second, all in favor? All right.
Okay, it's-
See you all at-
Downstairs.
I'll give you all that. budget.
That way to the right, you get this,
Okay.
go past the office,
Ask me about-
the little hallway to go, you know how you leave the front.